our way to the winter solstice. So there's this quality also of turning inward. And so this is the quality of the heart. To look inward, to find what is most essential. Fire is associated with the heart. And this element of fire helps to burn what's inessential. All those things that we don't need to worry about, things we should put down. Fire has this quality of clarifying that which is most important. And so tonight we're going to be in a journey, in an experience together of this in-between time where we're playing with the fire and at the same time knowing that we're starting to go towards the winter solstice. And something that you may find as you listen, for some of you, I think this is perhaps an introduction to a very deep transmission and practice, this classical Indian music. Or some of you may have some familiarity with this kind of music, but something we were talking about earlier is these deep practices that have a lineage. There's a direct transmission that comes through, which is very powerful when we get to sit together in such an intimate space here. And also, there's a continual unfolding. And so what's true for me is that there's continually new discoveries as we go deeper into the great mystery of being together and listening with our whole body. So I want to just invite you throughout this time that we're together to maybe close your eyes, start to listen with your whole body, see with your ears, as Timothy says, and then open your eyes again and see the quality of the light. And you can play with that, going back and forth. So I'll pause there for now and turn it to you, Timothy.
Thank you. So I'm going to begin with an exploration of one sound. And so I've been following a path for a long time, a musical path, which has to do with exploring all of the constituent vibrational frequencies of a single sound. So that's how I'm going to begin, and then we'll find a way to transition to this venerable tradition of Indian classical music. And I just want to invoke my first guru of Indian classical music was a singer named Sheeladhar, and it would be her birthday today. So I want to invoke her name before. And as Kelly says, if you, I think I'd like to also invite you to listen. Let the listening be rooted in your experience of your body. And so if you find your mind kind of going, I wonder what that is, and what does this have to do with anything, and all of those kinds of kind of how can I know more about this experience? Trust your body and just follow its experience. So would you play tanpura? And can we have a little bit more of the synthetic? A little bit more of that, Eric.
So this is the tanpura. Provides these vibrational frequencies that the voices and the flute and our bodies can use as a reference. And when you're listening, you just pay attention to where is the sound coming from.
Does that sound okay?
Mm-hmm. So this is a piece that's played in season.
Monsoon Raga.
Miyaki Malhar played during monsoons, and we're in a little bit of a monsoon cycle. There's that one note that we kind of undulate that is characteristic of this. And as we develop this further, there's some shaking, which evokes the clouds and the rain.
Can we just pause and fix the card string? The card string is low. Please.
Can you turn that up a little bit?
So, leaving the rainy rag, we played something. I thought we talked about playing like a folk type of thing. Very sweet folk tune from West Bengal and also Bangladesh called Batiali tune, and it's based on folk tradition called Batiali. So there's many like different ways of playing Batiali, but it's all boatman song. It's like the boat literally comes from the sort of the cultural heritage and idea of people singing on boats, fishing. Mir can tell you more. He's from the region. Batiali.
This place.
So like Bangladesh and West Bengal, like that region, we have a lot of rivers. So all the rivers that originates from Himalayas, finally crosses over, flows over Bangladesh and West Bengal, and then meets the Bay of Bengal. So, and everybody sings there, and all the boatmen, so they came up with these songs, and it itself became a folk genre. And the rhythm kind of imitates the sound of the oars, and it involves philosophical thoughts, and just it started as a folk tradition, but the meaning of usually the songs when someone is singing, they have words tied to it and some philosophy involved.
So yeah, and then because we couldn't be outside, we didn't know what was going to happen, but we thought we could have us all join us on the lawn for sunset in about 20 minutes or so. So we'll play this piece, and then we have some watermelon and tea, and the sunset's right over that hill where we would have been if we'd been outside.
Yeah.
So we can still get the best of all
Take in
worlds
the
here.
outdoors a little bit. Yeah.
So I do want to say, did you all feel the joy of the rain in that last piece? And it's just occurring to me also that, where this next piece has this, in some ways inspired by this relationship with water,
Yeah.
rivers.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
The rains have come and filled the rivers.
yes, they have.
Waters above and below.
Hallelujah. Thank you. Is there anything we should listen for in particular besides the oars?
Your hearts, yeah. It's a heart opening song, I think, yeah.
How does the tabla kind of evoke that oars?
Oh, sure.
Let's see them right Keep going. That's good. That's a good start.
Yeah, that's a good way for us to come in.
to the river is the watermelon.
Water and watermelon.
Watermelon, yeah.
Watermelon.
Watermelon, it's a watermelon thing.
First monsoon and rivers, then watermelon. um, some housekeeping, just so if anyone needs to use the bathroom, it's right upstairs on the left. You're welcome to use that. We also have a porta potty that we clean every week, and it's well maintenance if that doesn't bother you. Obviously, this is an old house, plumbing, but feel free to use upstairs also.
Yeah.
Just make yourself at home, please. And please join us in the yard for we have a sense of the solstice daylight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
What a
Thank you.
treat.
Thank you all for coming.
And could
Unusual
we
day.
just have a moment if anyone wants to ask
Yeah, of course,
questions
Oh
or,
yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask about, just how you decide with your flute playing, because it's not always, I mean, for us it's usual, we have 2 flute players, but how you're doing improv, but you're going back and forth, or I was just thinking about that, especially on the boat song too, I don't know if you...
Yeah.
And then I saw you switch flutes, Steve, so I was like, I wonder why he did that.
Well, that folk tradition tends to want to use a higher flute, but I wasn't really pleased with that one, so I went back to the other one.
Wasn't pleased.
But Eric and I have a lineage connection in the way we learned this music in Kolkata. I'm just a couple of years older than him. So I studied with a flute player in Calcutta, and then his disciple at that time became Eric's teacher.
Yeah.
So we share you could say, an approach or an aesthetic to how we hear the music, and that allows this sometimes, I find, wonderfully seamless way that we can just go back and forth and listen off each other or amplify, support what each other is doing, and that's become a very, it's been a feature of what we can do together, because we have that sense of coming from the same musical family of style. Yeah. And of course, the music is it's a classical music. There's a form, there's a real form and structure, particularly not so much the last piece, but the first one. Timothy, started by showing us all of the overtones, the partials of a single tone, and then you may have noticed that at a certain point he drifted into a suggestion of the pieces that were going to be in that piece that we played, the key phrases and stressing certain notes, and that's the so there's a spontaneity of what's played, but it's all referenced by the architecture of a particular piece of music, of a particular raga. The word raga means to color the mind. To color the mind.
Color the mind.
Color, to color the
It's
mind.
Sanskrit word literally means color of mind.
Yeah.
And but it's the word raga is used to describe most of them, certainly all of the main melodic structures of Indian classical music for both North and South India, but they're different because we play from music from the North, being in Hindustani style, which is very different than the South, and but these ragas. So we played raga Myanki Malhar. We play that's the first raga, so we play raga Yaman, or any raga that has a name. Raga is prefixed to it. But when we play Bhatyali, the folk tune, it's not called raga Bhatyali. Actually, that's just Bhatyali. It's a folk tune. It's not, we're not doing it classical, and the rhythm that he's playing with that type of tal or teka wouldn't be used in a main classical piece either. So these things have their places, And
But also it might be worth saying, I don't know, maybe everyone already knows this, but if you were to play the same piece in the same raga on another occasion.
Mhm.
Maybe the sort of general outline of it would be the same, but the piece as an experience would not be the same. It wouldn't be like hearing
Yeah.
Beethoven's Ninth.
Yes.
It's like, if you have to draw, like, Steve's portrait, you're not going, you're not going to draw it like every time the same. Like,
Mhm.
even though you're a,
Yes.
the best portrait, artist, it's gonna turn out different.
And you'll
Different
still,
but the
still
same. You'll
Yeah,
still
different
you'll
but the
still
same.
recognize that it's
You'll recognize that
Steve.
it's Steve,
won't be
but
him.
By that
it won't
portrait.
be Timothy. Might be if I draw it.
Yeah.
That's
But
right.
you wouldn't want to make it identical, even seeming, not even, you wouldn't want to try to even closely replicate even. I think it would just unfold in its own way every time. It could be a very different take on Rag Yemen or something like that.
Well, there's a wonderful quality of here at this time, at this moment, the piece emerges, and it'll never be the same. Tomorrow the same piece it'll be the same piece, but it'll be different. As we will be different tomorrow from what we are today. It's wrapped up in a wonderful, you could say, philosophy or a understanding of our connection with the natural world. That's why these pieces are played at a particular time of day, or in a season like the monsoon season. So when there's a lot of rain, this piece really feels like it activates that sense of wetness, of clouds forming, of thunder, and just that synchronization between light, time of day, and mood, all superimposed on a form that is passed on, not by writing it down, but in an oral tradition, is what keeps this music fresh and different every time it's played. And raga, we said raga is to color the mind, and raga is complemented by tal, or tala, which is the rhythm cycle. So Mir is playing the tal, the sense of rhythm is very much cyclical, so it's always in cycles. The first piece was in the cycle of 16 beats, and then we changed to 1 and 12, and that's very much a part of this. It holds, it's kind of a bed which can hold the raga.
Pre-electronics, what was the source of the...
That tanpura right here.
This one right here,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So that was that's a sample, and then you amplify.
Yeah.
And one thing about the tanpura is that I don't know of any other musical form on earth that has a continuous drone. There are many forms of music that stay within a certain key center, a certain kind of, there might be an implication of the root that all of the tones are related to. But to have it continuously sounding is a very, very unique feature of Indian music. And I don't know, I don't know if there's, I'm very curious about it. I don't know if there's anything really said explicitly about it. It's sort of, to me it suggests a kind of eternal dimension or something like that. That everything happens in relationship to.
It's the ground of the music, and yet, as you could hear, what Timothy was doing with his voice, the tambura is doing that. It's giving that sense of reaching up, so it's almost like an earth and sky instrument that then allows the raga to arise out of that.
I wanted to ask something about that. When you were doing the singing, and then you were doing, I don't know if you call it overtones or undertones, it really felt as if it was dancing off the tanpura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I wonder if there's anything, is you do it independently, or do you need a drone in order to do it?
You can do it independently, but it's a lot richer with a drone. And as Steve said, the tanpura is basically doing the same thing. So when you pluck the string of the tanpura, it's going from a state of maximum tension to relaxation. So it's I mean, when you pluck it, it's, you know, you've created this excitation in the world of the string. And so in a sense, it's similar to me with my voice going. And actually the overtones in the voice and the overtones in the string of the tanpura are the same. So you can really align yourself with it. And I think of it as kind of, I practice with the tanpura a lot, and that, I think of it as kind of like being able to do yoga against a floor or a wall if you're doing things that go up the wall. As opposed to doing yoga with no floor or no wall.
The drone is the digital sample?
Well, that plus the drone is a digital representation of that. Actually, the one that I was playing is a real tanpura recording though.
Right, but when did that stop and when did that start?
Continuous. And Kelly's playing was probably more prominent than the electronic drone. But
And very often there'll be two of those in a concert, or one electronic. I mean, it's very common to use this digital version as well, and they overlap, so they're not exactly
hearing
the same.
both.
And it gives it more of a resonance that way.
It's also a reference for, like, say, the tabla to be
And
tuned.
the tuning, yeah.
For everyone to be in tune, like, you know, the flutes and the guitar, tabla. So when we have an ensemble, so that's a reference, like for everyone to be on tune.
And what tone is it playing?
It's an E.
That's me.
Yeah, and that choice is really the flute tradition that we play in, and actually most of the classical flute players from India choose E as their tone center. Doesn't always have to be that way, but it's very common.
But if you were playing in C, you'd have to have a longer flute, right? So
Well, yeah.
Or really small.
Really small. And the problem with like doing it in C is that it gets so low that the bottom notes don't have as much articulation and difference. Sound gets a little muddy. So that's why D, E have been chosen as the pitch of choice.
I noticed when you were playing the drums, but you weren't playing a particular one, you would always keep it covered.
Yeah. So one is definitely, like, I keep it covered so that, like, you know, to protect it from dust and everything, but also, like, you know, to protect it from moisture and, like, you know, having exposed to the weather. So since it's, like, you know, made out of skin, like, you know, it's real animal skin, so either a cow or a goat skin. So, and it has like pores, and whenever there's humidity or temperature change, so it's very like susceptible to change.
like, this is one of the main reasons we're inside.
Yeah, that's
Because there's a tabla here.
and if there's like any single drop of like in rain, then it's right away it will change. And even during like you have seen me like, you know, tuning like multiple times, even in between, in the beginning, and like, you know, and if there's like light, so all this weather like, you know, influences the sound. So that's why I keep it covered to like, so that it does not get too much out of tune, and also to protect.
it's a beautiful thing about Indian music that it's perfectly all right to stop and tune in the middle of a performance.
I loved hearing the tuning.
Yeah.
I love that.
What about the guitar? Is this tuned differently than normally?
No, I should really play one that is tuned differently, but no, this is standard tuning, and just trying to be as unobtrusive as possible. I feel like a puppy in a litter of kittens, just trying to pass.
Oh no. I mean, this ensemble that we've sort of been enjoying having for a number of years now, it was wonderful. Like right in the middle of the raga, all of a sudden that overtones,
Yeah.
you know, kind of really come out
Yeah.
and just amplify the sense of what's the architecture of what we're doing. So it's wonderful.
It's. I mean, this music doesn't need anything. So I'm trying to add something that it doesn't actually need, you know. But that's a very interesting kind of challenge.
I just want to acknowledge Aileen, who, you know,
Ah.
through all of these gatherings that we've had, has been the front person welcoming you here and also doing our behind the scenes organizing. So just really appreciate you continuing to do that.
Yeah, another opportunity to kind of attune to the seasons, and I really felt that, you know, the regrounding, and even in this space of the thickness of summer and the moisture, and hearing it differently. I really could hear the overtone. It was.
There's a lot of healing goes on in this room too. With Ruthie.
Yeah.
It felt like a shoehorn for meditation.
Right.
Slide just right into.
The mystery of not knowing what to expect. I think we all come here and always get fed in that way.
That's true. That's true. Well,
As no two watermelons are the same.
So you guys are invited to step outside onto our field and get a little sky and fresh air before you go. And there's some herbal tea and watermelon for you all. So you'll go out the front door and then up to the